It's spacious, it's mighty spacious. I think I was very fortunate to get a house in such a nice area. And I just think that it's just a nice house, you know. It's just a nice place.
After 20 years of paying a landlord, Maria Stevens took a chance and is very happy she did. Maria and her two daughters now have a home of their own in the Sherman Park neighborhood. Maria's job at Milwaukee's Career Youth Development provides enough money for monthly payments, and she was able to save some cash. But she couldn't save enough for both the down payment and closing costs. And that's where the city program for moderate-income families called Milwaukee Value came to the rescue.
Well, for one, I didn't have enough money. Okay, I either had to pay the down payment or the closing costs. So I was asking like friends that had owned homes and different things like that. And a friend of mine that had just purchased a home, she said, well, why don't you go see someone at the city?
It's a cooperative effort between the city and the private sector that makes Milwaukee Value possible. Community agencies provide homebuyer counseling for a single-family home or duplex. Members of the Milwaukee Board of Realtors play an important role in marketing the homes, all priced at $50,000 or less. The Milwaukee Journal and Sentinel give an assist, providing reduced rates for a special section for Milwaukee Value homes in the classified ads.
There's homes all over the city under $50,000 and really good housing stock. It's just an excellent program, and anyone I think that's interested in purchasing a home just can go to any realtor and they're going to be able to help them. Oh, it's a great feeling to see someone get into their first home and pay less than rent.
Milwaukee Value offers down payments and closing costs to income-qualified families who are short on cash. Grants range from $1,000 to $1,800, depending on the income of the buyer and the location of the property. The money comes from the Wisconsin Division of Housing. To be eligible, you must meet the income guidelines, not have owned a home for 3 years, locate a home for $50,000 or less in the target areas, and agree to live there for 3 years. Milwaukee Value target area includes many neighborhoods. The northwest side, generally the area west of 43rd Street, and to the east, that section of Milwaukee east of the river. Also in the target area, the far west side, and the south and southwest sections of Milwaukee, generally south of Cleveland Avenue. With a tenant helping her, Maria's monthly mortgage and tax payments are far below her previous rents, and she encourages others to check out the various programs.
I just figured one day that I'd be able to purchase a home, but really, truthfully, I didn't think I thought I was gonna be one of those renters for the rest of, until I went into a nursing home. So something like that. But I just couldn't foresee myself, paying that kind of money out for the rest of my life. I know some light bulb came on and said, no, you buy your home, okay? Go for it. All they can say is yes or no. So that's what I did.
Joining me now for more of an insight into Milwaukee Value and other programs are Maria Prioletto, Financial Services Manager of the Housing and Neighborhood Development Division in the Department of City Development, Cheryl Reed, a loan officer with FBS Mortgage, the lending affiliate of First Bank, and Melissa Stubbe, who directs home buyer counseling for Walker's Point Development Corporation. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
To
Nice
our
to be
Milwaukee
here.
Insight program. I'd like to begin our discussion of the present and the future with a look back in the past. Over 40 years ago, the Housing Act of 1949 set a goal of a decent home and a suitable living environment for not most American families, but every American family. Where are we today in your perception as to where we are in reaching that goal?
Well, it's interesting that even though that was 45 years ago, that indeed is still a goal for us in 1994. I think the good news is that particularly in the past couple of years, there have been enormous efforts in helping people achieve that goal, and most of them are born of partnerships between the city and local lenders and local community organizations. So I think we have a ways to go, but I think that the tools are in place and the programs are in place to really go a long way in helping us achieve that goal.
Cheryl is a representative of many lenders here today. How is it from your perspective toward reaching that housing goal?
I would agree with Maria. We have come a long way, but there are still so many more people that we know we can reach. And with all the innovative ideas, with the programs that are out there, we've all learned that by coming up with different guidelines than what we've been accustomed to is definitely making home ownership more affordable for people in the community.
The comment, and I made it myself, the American dream of a home of our own is a cliche. It's been around a long time, but Melissa, you work with people every day, I'm sure, who are still looking for that. Is it still a dream of many people?
Oh yes, it's a dream of a lot of people, and I think the biggest thing is a lot of people don't realize that they're able to buy a home and be a homeowner, and we're out there to help them, show them the steps, what's all involved, and then once they realize that this is a reality and a possibility, you know, they get excited, they tell their friends, and it kind of flourishes and moves throughout the community.
We're saying today that buying is as affordable as renting. We'll take that as true today and move on from there and say, if that's true, why should I buy? Why should I be a buyer instead of a renter? What are the benefits to me?
Well, one, you're building equity in your house, whereas when you're renting, you're paying for your landlord's mortgage, and you're not building any equity.
Another one is that you have control. Freedom to decorate, freedom to have pets, some things that you can't do when you currently have to deal with a landlord.
What about disadvantages? Are there any? I mean, we're obviously we're paying ourselves, we're putting money toward the equity in our home, we're building that kind of a situation for ourselves, the old nest egg. But what about a disadvantage? Is there something that people should be concerned about or worried about?
I don't think it's a matter of being worried, but I think that before you make the decision to become a homeowner, you should really think about the move that you're going to be making, and groups like Melissa's can help you through that. Owning a home, while it has tremendous benefits, also has tremendous responsibilities. When the water heater goes or the roof starts leaking, you can't call your landlord. Those are your responsibilities. So it takes careful planning in terms of preparing yourself for home ownership, as well as making sure that you're doing other things to make your term as home ownership successful. So it's not for everyone, but it's for a lot of people, and the benefits for, I think, a lot of people far outweigh those disadvantages.
Let's say that I'm interested and I'd like to find out more about it. We know it's a cooperative effort among all these various agencies. Let's talk about the specific responsibilities of each group. I'm interested in buying a house. I turn to the city, let's say, first of all. Maria, what kind of advice do you give this person?
If a person is just starting out and really just needs help getting through the basic process of buying a house, we normally would probably refer them over to one of the counseling agencies, or let them know about, there's a number of different lenders that are offering home ownership seminars that kind of go through the steps of being a homeowner. We can alert them to all of the different resources that are available in terms of either down payment or closing cost assistance or special programs. We try to give them as much information as possible so that they can find a niche in a program or an organization that's going to help them achieve their goal.
Cheryl, that person comes to you as a lender and they say, the city sent me over to talk to you. What should I bring to our first meeting? What kind of information do you need from me?
Income information would be helpful. Also information on your debts and liabilities, what loans you have, what are the payments on them, what are the balances. Then what I would do is sit down with that individual to find out what program best suits their needs. As Maria said, there's a lot of programs out there, and not every program is for every individual, but that's where the lender comes into play, as assessing what that individual family's needs are and what it is that they're trying to accomplish in the home ownership.
How many people are you able to help on a percentage basis, would you say?
I would say our success ratio has been good. It may be a situation where someone may not be ready to purchase now, but that doesn't mean that they can't maybe a month from now or several months. But as far as a percent ratio, I would say it's high, probably 85, 90%.
Let me refer to our original story here on the Milwaukee Value Program that we've seen already. And Milwaukee Value requires a person to be working with a realtor to have an accepted offer and a mortgage commitment, correct, prior to coming for the Milwaukee Value Grant. Does that change the requirement as far as what people bring you? Should their realtor be contacting you? Do they need more information for that Milwaukee Value Grant?
Well, we work pretty closely. The Milwaukee Value Program works closely with the lenders. People will find when they make application for a mortgage loan that they give up a life of information, and we don't want to duplicate all of that for them when they apply for their grant. So we work very closely with their lender in terms of getting a lot of the information that's already been obtained in connection with their application for a mortgage loan for the grant.
Okay. Now we go on to the community agency, and the person says, I've talked to the lender, and they think I'm qualified. I can probably swing the loan, move into a house, but I've never owned one before, and I'm frightened. How can you help me with that aspect of it?
Well, what we do is we act as a liaison between the client and the lender and sort of as a motivating group to help the clients. And we work with a lot of the banks in the city of Milwaukee, and what we do is create a loan package, some of the same information that Cheryl's going to ask for later, and we kind of target in on everything and explain the whole process from day one, ordering your credit report, applying at the bank, to putting an offer on a house, maybe getting a home inspection, how the bank is going to analyze all the information, to the closing, getting the homeowner's insurance, and even post-purchase items such as doing repairs and so forth. So we're there to motivate the client, to get them through the process and to kind of assist them through every step.
Do both of you, the lender and the community group in this instance, work to help people with bad credit? Can
Yes.
you help them with
Yes,
that aspect as well?
In fact, that's what we specialize in. A lot of times people might have barriers to financing, such as credit. What we do is we'll analyze their credit report, see what the barrier is, and create a correction or a corrective action plan to help them overcome this barrier, whether it be establishing alternate forms of credit, such as getting utility payments, or contacting collection agencies to pay off the collection, or helping them obtain a lawyer to help them with maybe a civil judgment.
What about the follow-up after somebody is in the house and they're concerned about, you mentioned earlier, the water heater, something breaks down. What do we do then?
Well, when we work with our clients before the purchase, about 6 months, we kind of create a bond with them. Afterwards, a lot of our clients will call us and say, your exact question, well, my water heater doesn't work, my furnace doesn't work. There are a lot of different programs, such as grants and loans in the city of Milwaukee that can help these people. The gas company can assist with weatherization and furnaces, and if the person isn't in the target area for this assistance, then we can help them get a home improvement loan, or maybe contact and work with the city's program with FBS. So there's all kinds of different choices that these people have.
You can have a problem whether it's a low income or moderate or a high income family. There can be problems with loans and with homes. From a lender's viewpoint, I would expect that you would rather work with a person than try to foreclose on a home. You'd much rather see them remain there, right?
Most definitely, and that's why we really encourage people, when you find that you're starting to have difficulties, talk to the lender. Immediate, that communication is so critical in the process. We don't like to become a realtor and sell property, but if you have that communication, we can work with you, and we do want to work with you.
Many of the programs are unique in that they have varying eligibility guidelines and other criteria, but there are certain things I would think that are identical in almost every case. Somebody comes and they ask a question. What are some of the most usual questions that all of you hear from potential buyers?
Well, savings is a big one, and while lenders in the past few years have really relaxed the requirements as far as down payment goes, and there are programs to assist people, people still want to know how much money they're going to need in order to purchase a house. And generally, I think a good rule of thumb these days is you're going to have to come in with a minimum of 3% of the purchase price of the house. So that's one big thing, is savings for people. And Melissa can probably, she mentioned credit before, but people may come in with a question that a year ago they fell behind on a bill and they think that might naturally exclude them from buying a house, and that's not the case. The important thing is to connect with a lender or community organization or someone who can give you the real information and the real truth as far as purchasing a home, rather than a lot of stuff maybe you hear from your friends or other people on the street, because I think there's some misconceptions out there still today.
I think there are, and Maria Stevens in our earlier report said too that all they can say is yes or no, and so I went ahead and asked the questions and did it, and now she's into her home. In addition to what people what the things people are asking, what are their major concerns when they come? Is it the upkeep of a home? Is it?
I think in the beginning, a lot of people just don't think they can buy a house. Maybe because of credit, maybe because of savings, maybe because of employment. And I think the important thing is to communicate to them and express to them, yes, you can buy a house, and these are the steps that you go through. One is you need some sort of income to pay for your mortgage. The bank is going to look at your past payments, whether it was your utility or your rent, some sort of credit, and then you need savings for your down payment and part of your closing costs. I think it's important to express those points to the people.
And also, I would agree with Melissa. What I'm seeing is fear. You know, they finally got up enough courage to come into the lender, but they're so fearful of what they're going to say. We really want to work with them in the communication. As Melissa said, I develop bonds with all my customers. I've been invited to open houses for clients that they've moved in just from the excitement, and that really makes me feel good that we've helped them get into the home, but also tell the lender everything there is to know, because we're going to find out anyway.
Yeah,
so be open and honest with your lender,
secretive.
because it will come out.
Sure. Let's talk a little bit about some of the programs that are available, and we can't go into great detail about all of them, but we've talked briefly about Milwaukee Value in this program, and it's been successful, I would imagine, as we look at the numbers. Through about the first half of this year, $213,000 in grants to homeowners. But the important thing, and that money does come from a state division of housing, I believe.
Yes, it does.
But beyond that, what does that money leverage in the numbers of real estate and the amount of money that is in the community on the tax roll and that benefits the city?
Well, a tremendous amount, and those results went far beyond our expectations when we started the program. But that $200,000 you referred to leveraged over $6 million in loans from local lenders. The other thing about Milwaukee Value is that similar assistance is available throughout the city right now through various community organizations, and even some lenders are offering their own assistance now. So anybody who's interested in purchasing a home anywhere in the city and is having a little bit trouble on the down payment and closing cost side, there's assistance available for them.
Okay. Let's talk about one of those programs, and since Cheryl is here, with the Renew program that is just a recent announcement through FBS. What's that all about, and how is it unique from some of the others?
Well, one thing that we're really excited with Renew is that there are no income limits. What we feel is that we want the neighborhoods to dictate the program. So not only can you be a first-time home buyer, we also want to address the people who are current homeowners and their need for repair. So in addition to someone moving into a home, having it newly remodeled or repaired, what about the person that's living in the home and needs to have some repairs done? So the program does allow for current homeowners as well as first-time home buyers. The income limits, there are none, no maximum or minimum. And we do offer the assistance. There's a loan of $2,500 to assist the borrower in the money. So, you know, we're really excited about the program. We're getting very well received in the community and working with the city. You have your own staff rehab advisor who goes through the property and does a very thorough analysis of the property. And he's real personal. He's a really neat person to work with. So we've gotten real good reception from his involvement in the program, too.
What about the community groups, Melissa? Do you follow up with that same kind of information as far as providing people with not only counseling on the financial end, but on the work end of it?
As far as
inspecting a home to make sure everything is working well?
Yes, all of the clients that go through our program get home inspections, and that helps with two things. One, you can target some repairs before they buy the house. Maybe, yes, they still want to buy the house, but some items need to be fixed, or maybe they don't want to buy the house anymore because they realize there's too much work and it's something that they can't handle. The other thing is you can target into the future and help the client prepare for any future repairs, such as replacing the furnace that you mentioned earlier, or replacing the roof. Not that all of a sudden this repair comes up, this person has no money, and they're not able to address it.
Let's look at a couple other programs. We have homesteading in the city of Milwaukee.
Homesteading is probably one of the city's oldest home ownership programs. It's been around since the mid-70s, and that's a really nice program. It's a program where the city actually buys houses that are in need of repair and then helps family with financial assistance, technical assistance, and home ownership training to rehabilitate them. In exchange, the family has to agree to live in the house for 6 years and to do everything they need to do in terms of being a good homeowner, making their payments, paying their insurance, paying their taxes. We've helped about 725 homeowners become, or families become homeowners through the Homestead program. And I mentioned that the program began in the mid-70s. It's interesting that probably about 50% of those people are still living and owning and occupying those houses.
That shows that it is a success. We have another program that's called You Can Buy on Your Own Block, right?
Yeah, if you've made the decision to become a homeowner and you've decided that's such a great experience that you want to buy another property, we have a program that we're working with local lenders on called Buy in Your Neighborhood. That allows a homeowner to buy the house down the block for him as a rental property. From our perspective, we think, of course, home ownership is the best for a neighborhood, just in terms of pride in ownership and the care people take with their houses if they're a homeowner. But the next best thing is a person who actually lives in the neighborhood buying a rental property down the street. They're going to do a much better job of screening their tenants and taking care of it. So Buy in Your Neighborhood allows you to do that.
And it also assists like family members who are helping, like an extended family helping someone get into a home, and then maybe in the future they could purchase that home from the family.
From your perspective, Melissa, what is the importance of having people buy homes and stabilizing a community? You work with various community
you
groups.
just said it. When people buy homes, they stabilize the neighborhood. Then they care more about the property that they live in because they own it. They're going to care about the facade, the interior, the people who are within the neighborhood. They're going to care more about the crime and what takes place. Whereas when you have a rental unit, the owner is not, or the renter is not going to put as much or any money probably into the house to fix it up because it's not theirs. They don't own it. So you sort of create this solid block within a neighborhood.
I think that probably no discussion of housing would be complete without discussing at least somewhat the question of discrimination in housing. We hear a lot about it, have heard for many years, whether it be racial or cultural or family size or income. Charges are made about discrimination in housing. What kinds of things have we accomplished? Where are we? What progress has been made in this regard?
Well, I think the face of the lending industry has changed in the past few years. You don't have to go back to 1949, as you mentioned at the top of the show. It wasn't that very long ago when in order to buy a house, you needed a 20% down payment, and you had to adhere to some fairly traditional underwriting guidelines. And I think it took people a little while to react to the fact that the home buying population has really changed. Incomes are lower. We've had a loss of blue-collar jobs in the city. We have many more single-parent-headed households. We have a lot of people who, for whatever reason, just don't have relationships with banks or haven't saved enough money and put it in a bank. And so the industry has come very far, I think, in the past few years as far as changing their guidelines to reflect more what the realities are in the marketplace. And that's a big plus.
And I think this change is attributed to what Maria said earlier, that a lot of the banks are working in partnership with a lot of the community agencies, and they're able to exchange and communicate where the community agency can say this is the need of the neighborhood, we need a product to meet this, these needs, and then the bank will come back and have created something that helps people get into homes.
And the bank is also very involved in the community outreach. We want to be in the community, we want to be known by the community so that when they do make that step to come in, it's not a total stranger that they're dealing with.
That goal we talked about earlier in 1949, long time ago, the federal government was very involved. Are we seeing now more local involvement? Is it going to be the city and the lenders and the local community groups that are responsible now for housing and not the federal government in the future?
Well, I think everybody's involved, but it's interesting that even since the guidelines have changed, I heard a large lender this morning saying that even now that they've changed their guidelines, those loans are performing every bit as well as the loans that they used to make under the old guidelines. So I think that there's more involvement, not only because it's the right thing to do, but because it's good business, and because the home buyers that they're attracting today are good bank customers who are making their payments on time and who are adding a lot to the community.
We're seeing a couple of instances locally of housing assistance as a benefit of employment. Do any of you see that as becoming more prevalent in the future?
Well, that's one thing that we're in the city trying to work on is walk-to-work type programs where we can tie programs to assist people who want to live right near where they're working. So I think that you're seeing some of those now, and I think that will become more prevalent in the future.